So this one's called Forcing Functions because I'm recording live and I'm going to just record a single video in one take and publish it on YouTube and Substack. So just basically just fucking do it. So as background, I haven't published anything in like 7 months, even though I started this thing like a year ago. Michael Fang's newsletter. So originally the idea was to publish like crypto industry takes or something like that, and somehow help with my day job. And honestly, like I think I started pretty strong. I published a few articles and got lots of whatever like reads, but I faded because I got busy, right? Um, and to be honest, like I don't want to do this as a work thing, because uh, the reason that I am doing this is honestly for myself, because I've always wanted to have my ideas spread because I think I have decent ideas, and but more explicitly, I also like stuttered a lot as a kid. There's a time when I had a lot of trouble forming certain words where I would like try speaking, and certain sentences with like certain vowels like H or W, I just couldn't get it out, and it took me a long time to actually get better at this. And right now, I'm actually doing like a weekly presentation on for work, like a video like this on our Discord. So I figured I might as well just get in the habit of doing it, for myself as well. So uh, anyway, that's not very relevant. But anyway, like I said, one take. I'm not gonna cut it out. But so what I want to do is refocus this thing, and refocus it on who I actually want to listen to this, right? Who am I doing this for? So really, I'm doing this for myself. Like I said, I've always wanted to do something like this because I think I do think I have something to say, and especially around kind of like like what it means to be a founder, I guess, because the way my career's progressed is like I never thought I would actually build anything myself. Like when I grew up, my parents were always working for other people, other companies, and from the time I was a kid to the time until I was like 31 years old, I thought my goal in life was just to work for like some stable company, and that was it. Just get a decent job, collect a paycheck, and enjoy a nice retirement. But I think around the time that I took this class when I was at master's program at Stanford in 2010, and I think it was called some entrepreneurship class. I just kind of realized that the world that I had grown up in, the one where it was like you work for someone, didn't have to be that way. It's like you could actually do it yourself. And it's weird, but I just never thought like that. But once I realized it was possible, I guess like I just didn't want to work for other people anymore. So basically, from like 2011 onwards, for the last 12 years, I've been trying to like found different types of things, companies, random ideas for nonprofits, and with lots of successes, well, lots of failures, and a few successes. I think I'm finally at a point where I think I can be a founder for the rest of my life, like as a job, and it's like I can start companies that make money. I can start like clubs or organizations or nonprofits, but I think I have a good idea of what it takes to actually get something off the ground as an organization and keep that sustainable. Um, and what's interesting is that it's actually not about the money. It's actually more about, I think, like the model, like the business model, and how you're, well, it's more like the value model, how you actually create value, um, distribute value, and retain enough value so that your whole organization is sustainable. But I don't know how to like express that other than from lived experience, because that's like been my life for the last like 12 years, and I love it honestly. That's why I'll be a founder for the rest of my life, honestly, because like I love the idea of creating organizations and having those organizations like become self-sustainable and actually kind of like affect change on the world. So yeah, so that's why I'm basing this. Um, the other person I'm doing this for, honestly, is my daughter, and it's because my daughter she loves editing YouTube videos, and so she's gonna create all kinds of effects, like velocity edits, or they say I don't want to put any pressure on her because she can do whatever she wants. But I'm gonna give her the opportunity to like jazz it up, if you will. But also to like create the proper transitions and things that make a YouTube video look presentable afterwards. So thank you, Kayla, for your contributions to this effort. So yeah, as I mentioned, I think the focus of this podcast slash newsletter slash whatever is really going to be the founder experience going forward, especially mine and all the lessons I've kind of taken from that in terms of making it a full-time sustainable endeavor. Because I've been doing this for the past 12 years. When I first started, I think I spent the first year thinking of the name and making business cards. And the way I tell it is, it wasn't until I actually found my co-founder at the time, Max, then we kind of started something together that I realized what it really means to start a company. But then like through that experience, through selling that company, through starting Coin Alpha, 6 years ago, and then kind of like giving up the CEO position and starting the Humming Foundation, it's kind of like I've just been on this journey of like being different types of founders in various points over the past 12 years, and just learning like I don't know like how to deal with the whole thing. So I'll try to maybe like format this better next time, but for this time, I think I just wanted to like explain what this thing's going to become in the future. Okay, so enough of that stuff. Coughing fit. Okay. The last thing I want to do is just highlight where I'm spending my time on in terms of content over the past few weeks. So the one thing I want to recommend is one podcast called Indie Hackers that I've been listening to. So Indie Hackers is actually I think it was actually owned by Stripe before. It's like a forum thing, but it started by this guy named Cortland and his brother Channing. I've never met them, but I really like their tone on the podcast. I highly recommend it. But basically, Indie Hackers tells a story of founders who've built businesses that don't require VC funding, and they've managed to make them sustainable. But I think it's a really interesting kind of like perspective into the world of the founder community and the startup community that doesn't get a lot of attention, because unfortunately what you read about in TechCrunch and is really kind of driven by the VCs in the industry, not the founders. And the second one I want to recommend is a book called Weird. It's a book about basically it's basically an anthropology book, and it's about this rise of this archetype in the human population, which is basically Western liberals. And the thesis of the book is that Western liberalism has allowed these groups to compete and better versus other groups. So the other groups are traditional kin-based, clan-based organizations that kind of like arose in the earlier world, and then after the Catholic Church came in, it kind of destroyed a lot of these like kin-based institutions, and then atomicized these like familial and individual units. So and I actually really like this philosophy, because basically the idea is that it's almost like the cultural changes that were applied by Western liberalism has created a different type of persona, and that persona it's like in a group kind of like a competition perspective is better. So it's almost like creating like super soldiers. You're like the Zerg army, opposing like the Protoss army or whatever. Anyway, so StarCraft reference for those of you who don't understand that. But overall, I like that a lot because I really like this book. Weird, because I think it really explains. I think to me how humans have evolved over the past 1,000 years, and it really resonates with me because I grew up in China, in a very Guanxi kin based world, but I've lived most of my life in the U.S. where it's a very weird culture. So I feel like I intimately understand the differences between the two cultures, and I can almost like, yeah, kind of like understand the philosophies and the cultures of the two, to navigate them. So anyway, I highly recommend the book, and I also think it provides a roadmap in terms of like how to compete as a crypto organization, because crypto is some extent the like kind of the endpoint of where this weird revolution is going, because everything is about like market actors who are competing with each other on this like impersonal but interpersonal basis. So anyway, highly recommend the book Weird, as well as a podcast, Indie Hackers, and I guess stay tuned because I'll be publishing more content about the founder experience going forward. So thank you, and see you next time.